All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. You're putting me on a race with that 3, 2, 1. But hey, friends, very good morning. And thanks. One of the things that I also have begun to realize is this catch up, informal catch up between 10:45 and 11 is also a great way for us to get to know each other. And, it kind of expands our scope of thinking. As we get to know each other, we could also have inputs on how we could expand and give uh, amplification to this idea called the gear up. So really nice. And as we go forward, see, one of the things that I wanted to tell you and reiterate is that we keep sending these instruments, and the invitation to join the Zoom is to those who undertake the assessments, who invest their time in undertaking the assessments and want to kind of back it up with a briefing that's happening here. So I had just shot a message in the group earlier this morning that there are a lot more folks who are interested but want to join the session without attending the instrument, right? So it's like coming to an examination with the best pen without filling in the ink. So I think it's imperative that we have the participation in the assessment and backing it up with participation in the session that will give true meaning. All of you are doing this, and in case your friends are in the WhatsApp group, you might want to nudge them so that they leverage the benefit of this to the best extent possible. One of the things that we may want to consider is that replication of this as a batch after batch. I'm not really sure how it will, depending on the time and effort that's required. So if we are able to kind of come together and give this as a one-shot initiative with maximum participation, I think the individual takeaway is there for all to see. Now, how long are we going to do this? Yes, we will run this. Initially, we had planned to do this through this thing calendar year. We will see on how. Sorry, Siddharth. You want to give a break? All right. Yeah. I know. So we will address that as we go forward. A couple of questions are coming in terms of what will be the duration of this. You will notice that we have all been having assessments on individuality. For the first time, we have kind of broken it with Octapace, which talks about the context you are a part of and how it has a linkage with you in terms of the values and beliefs as you perceive it. So we have made that shift, and as you go forward, you will know to what extent we are able to kind of stretch this too. On that note, I welcome our speakers, Siddharth and Dr. Surabhi, for this session, and thank all of you for joining in. On that note, the learning starts now. Siddharth, over to you. Take it away from there. Thank you very much for joining in, and let's look forward to great learning. Thanks.
Thank you, Shashi. Wonderful introduction as always. Shashi is a great master of ceremonies, if you didn't know already. So we are delighted to have all of you here. We have, they put together this program, and today's session is on psychometric instruments. We have taken up this particular instrument on Octapace. Octapace sounds like an octopus. And yeah, it has eight feet, if you can call it. And each of those feet are really values. So before we get into the instrument, I'll just give you a context of how culture works. So I'm sure, these days offers are being accepted or rejected based on culture of the organization. And what it really means is, what is it that the people in the company seem to value, and what do I as an individual value, and is there a congruence between both of them? Because the more there is a congruence, the lesser I have to put up a facade or feel a little out of place, or I have to think. If the congruence is very, very high, then I just be myself, and that is a very easy way to get into flow per se in an organizational setting. This instrument, of course, Dr. Surabhi will be, explaining the instrument. So in the human, makeup, we understand that the mind has an iceberg, and what is deep within the iceberg are what are called beliefs, and beliefs are about how the world is or should be appearing. And as one talks about this, some of these beliefs are non-negotiable for individuals at different levels. And those beliefs are called values. So when we deal with psychometric instruments on culture, what we are basically looking at those values. What are the valued beliefs, in other words, right? And hence values. This instrument had around 40 items. All of you have replied to it, and that has been kind of calculated and shared. And what you will find as we go over is the importance of understanding each one of those constructs, whatever it is, right? Octopus, and then really understanding how is that, operationalized in an organization. We are at around 11:10. I think by around 11:30, 5 or 11:40, the explanation of the instrument should be done. And by around 12 noon, the question and answers also should be done. So with these words, I very warmly again welcome our superstar SME, Surabhi Purohit, into sharing this instrument to all of us, and invite all of you to join me in learning this and also sharing some ideas. Yeah, I hope the introduction has helped. And over to you, Surabhi ma'am. I'll switch on the PPT.
Yeah. Thank you, Shashi, and thank you, Siddharth. Thank you, Siddharth, for giving such a beautiful, brief introduction about the Octopus, about the culture. Now, basically, as Siddharth has already mentioned, it has 8 dimensions. Octa means 8. So we cover the 8 dimensions, and this instrument is totally about the values and beliefs in a culture. Now, so far we have talked about our individual development. Now, this time we are going to talk about the development of the organizational culture. So this talks about the Octopus is all about the organization culture. Yeah. So what is organization culture? Next, please. Next slide, please. Now, organizational culture is basically a collective behavior of humans in any organization, how they act. It is the pattern of collective behaviors, how they perceive the beliefs, how they perceive the others' reactions, actions, and it affects the people and the group, how they interact with each other, with clients and with stakeholders. This is organization culture. Next, please. Yeah. Next slide, please. Yeah, organization culture, basically, yeah, the previous slide, yeah, the previous one. No, the previous one. Yes. Now, basically, organization culture includes ethics, values, beliefs. Next slide. Yeah, ethics, um, values, beliefs, attitude, norms, ethos, climate, environment, and culture. Now, these are the basic things which make up the organization culture. And it works at 3 levels. One is the values, which give an identity to the group. The second is the climate, which is the perceived attributes of an organization. And third is the atmosphere, which affects the development of people in the organization. So a culture with Octopus values has a greater chance of achieving high involvement and satisfaction, teamwork, growth, and free flow of communication within the organization. Yeah. So talking about the 8 steps. Now, this is the acronym for Octopus. O is openness, C is collaboration, T is trust, A is autonomy, P is proactive, A authenticity, and C confrontation, E experimentation. This is an easy way to remember Octopus. Now, as I said, I have been repeating, every instrument is based on some theory. Now, this theory, particular theory, again has been developed by Professor Uday Parikh. Yeah, next please. Now, the first dimension which is important is openness. What is openness? It is the spontaneous expression of feelings and thoughts and sharing of these without defensiveness. Normally, we become defensive, or somebody tells you something, abuses you, then we immediately react, we defend ourselves. But this is spontaneous expression of feelings and thoughts. We do not become defensive. It is the transparent environment. If there is something on the computer, it should be transparent, it should be accessible to everyone. This is openness. We can see in many organizations, the heads, the CEOs, share the same kind of floor, share the same floor. There is no cabin. At any time, the people can come into the come to the HOD, come to the CO, discuss their problems, and go away. So this is openness. There is nothing is hidden. This is openness, and the result of openness would be there would be improved implementation of systems and innovations, and there would be free interaction among teammates, leaders, and top authority, and there will be clarity in setting objectives and common goals. So next, please. Next is the confrontation. Now, what is confrontation? Confrontation is facing the issues, facing the problems, rather than shying away from the problems. Normally, what we normally do, we have a tendency to shy away from the problem, withdraw from the problem because we are not able to confront the problem. So this is confronting the issue. This term signifies the actual problems which the team faces in the day-to-day work. Now, if the organization encourages people to recognize a problem, bring it to people concerned, explore with them, and search possible ways of dealing with it. So we need to discuss the problems and deal with the people, how the problem can be resolved, rather than just, shifting the problem to another person. This is a normal tendency that people usually have. Now, if there is confrontation in the organization, it would lead to improved problem solving and clarity. There would be team discussions to resolve the problems. There would be willingness to deal with the problems and with difficult employees and customers. The indicators, which are also outcomes, can be improved periodically through discussions. Yeah, rather than postponing the problem. Yes, next please. The third one is the trust. Now, trust is an integral part of any organization because the organizations function on trust. We need to trust each other. We need to maintain the confidentiality. Now, this is referred to as maintaining the confidentiality and mutual understanding. It reflects in a sense of assurance of help when need arise. Now, the trust factor comes with openness, which includes maintaining the confidential information which is shared by others and company, because we need to assure the other people in the organization also that this is going to be kept confidential. This is very, very important. If the level of trust is low, the various dimensions of human resource systems are likely to be seen with suspicion, and therefore the credibility of the system may go down. In such a case, the system, if introduced, may become a vital and cease to perform main functions for which it is meant. Or it is a reflection, in a sense, assurance that others help when such people and they will honor mutual commitments and obligation. Now, if there is high trust in the organization, there is going to be higher empathy, timely support when it is required, reduced stress would be there, and of course, reduction and simplification of problems and procedures. Yeah, next please. Next slide, please. The next one is authenticity. In most of the organizations, you may find that the other dimensions you may find, but authenticity is found to be very low. Now, what is authenticity? It is the conflict between what we say and does. So we have to do what we preach, and we have to preach what we do. Now, if the CEO or the head of the department thinks that people should be punctual, they should come on time. Now he should also do the same. If he says that he should come on time, but he doesn't himself come on time, then authenticity. So it is the truth and keeping of the promises which are made. It is indicated by the extent to which people mean what they say and do what they say. Now, if the CEO says that I will reward you for this, if you, I'll provide you with an incentive if you complete this job, then he should complete his promise. They never promise to commit something just to please others. They also make full efforts to implement their promises. Now, if there is authenticity in the organization by the in the people, then there is sharing of feelings freely to improve interpersonal communication, and there is reduced distortion in communication. Communication is free and communication is not distorted. It's understood well. Yeah. Next, please.
There is, I think, a slight signal problem at your end. We are not able to, there is a little bit of breaking voice.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I
But
think.
I can see the slides.
Yeah, sure. But your voice is not very clear. Okay, we will try out for one more slide. I'll just summarize for others in case they had a slight issue with the thing. So authenticity, like ma'am said, is congruence between what one feels, says, and does. Or rather, at a deeper level, it's about permission within one's own self to actually do that. It reduces dissonance. And the fact is, if a person is authentic, then the effort that goes into doing work, 100% goes into doing work. There is no efficiency loss, right? About thinking, how should I tell this person? How will that person's ego work? So on and so forth. If everyone is equally authentic, like we did in our personal effectiveness instrument, there was something called strategic openness and destructive openness, if you remember. So again, similarly, there is authenticity. How do I express my authenticity? Does the organization allow me and encourage my authenticity, right? I hope by now the signal issues are sorted. I'm over to you.
Yeah, thank you. The next one is proactivity. Now, proactivity is, as we have discussed in the previous sessions also, taking initiative rather than waiting to react to what others say. You have to take action. Just don't wait for others to, instruct you. You can take the action on your own also. Now, it has three different aspects: feeling, thinking, and action. Now, we have to transcend our role boundaries and think from others, feel from others' point of view also. Thinking is going proactivity in the now. If there is proactivity in the organization, in the people around, then taking and planning actions can be. I think there is some, I don't know whether I'm audible or not. Am I audible?
There were some minor disturbances.
Yes, there are disturbances actually.
Some two participants had not muted, so I had to involuntarily mute them. I think it's better off now. Let us try now.
Yeah.
Over to you.
Okay. Some people are saying that I'm audible, so I will continue. So actually, proactivity behavior is, taking initiative to do something. Why do we need to wait, like coronavirus, COVID, we are talking about COVID-19. So we can take preventive measures in advance rather than just wait for it to happen and then take, measures to cure it. So preventive measures can be taken. This is proactive behavior. Yeah. Next, please. I think there is no disturbance now. Now it is. Yeah. Next, please. Next one is the autonomy. Autonomy is giving power to the other people. Organization, how decisions, it should be his discretion. He need not come to you every time for support or to ask something. So organizations must avoid autocratic type of environment and give chance to team to use their powers in positive way. Because if the main power is in the hands of the head, and still he says, I give you, this is your job. So autonomy, the power should be given to the person you're giving the job. Now, this is very critical for bringing out academic excellence. Knowledge workers, IT industry, and RD departments thrive as a result of this. Now, as a result of this, autonomy is in the organization, it develops mutual relationships and reduces references made to other people. Yeah, next, please. Next, please. Yeah. Uh, then we have collaboration. This is very, very important. Although all the dimensions are very important, collaboration is how we work together in teams. Now, this is for the mutual benefit also, and it also develops the team spirit. Now, collaboration is working together in a team for common cause. We cannot work in isolation in an organization. We really need to work in collaboration and in teams. Now, individuals solve their problems by sharing their concerns with another and prepare strategies, working out plans of actions and implement them together. Now, all this cannot be done in isolation. So we need to work together in teams and in collaboration. Now, if we are working in collaboration, there would be, the results are amazing. There would be timely work. There would be improved communication. There would be resource sharing. There would be good teamwork. There would be sharing experiences. Then productivity reports are good. Then more meetings are held in the organization. There would be involvement of staff, and more joint decisions are made, better resource utilization, and higher quality of meetings. Because in many organizations, you may find people, because they are solely working on their own development, we also need to work on the development of the organization, of the group, of the team. So this is very, very important. Yeah, next, please. Next slide, please. Yeah, again, this is again a very, very important aspect, and it goes with what we have talked about, pro-activation. Now, promoting creative and innovation in the organization, we should experiment new things, and everyone should welcome those new ideas, new experiments that people are giving. Now, it may be in the form of suggestions also. So some innovative approaches may be there to solve the problems. So we should value those suggestions. If people are coming with some suggestions and they want to experiment something new, so autonomy should be given to them to experiment something new, and it should be valued also. So new ways of dealing problems may come up in the organization, which everyone should accept. Now, if people are given autonomy to experiment, given chances, given opportunity to experiment in the organization, uh, uh, there would be development of the new products in the organization, new methods and procedures may be found. A profile of an organization on these aspects may help to decide what elements of human resource system should be introduced and in what sequence in the organization. So all these 8 dimensions are so important for any organization. So we need to have all these 8 dimensions, any culture, organization culture, to build the organization to work, cohesively in any organization. Yeah. Next, please. Now we have seen 8 dimensions. Now many studies, I would say that we can see, we have surveyed in many organizations and found that usually openness and confrontation go together. Autonomy and collaboration go together. Trust and authenticity go together, and proaction and experimentation go together. So these are the 8 dimensions. Now, if these are combined, if we have combinations of these types, then these form the four corners of the HRD culture. Now, when these values are practiced in any organization, they become a part of life and are likely to get the best out of people. Human potential gets developed to the maximum extent, and people competencies are utilized to the maximum. An Octopace culture can be built only by an enlightened. Yeah, previous slide, please. Yeah. Top management. So top management, we have to start with the top management and then move on to the lower. Top management refers to all those who are the decision makers and event managers in the organization. Now, of course, this includes all kinds of owners, directors, unit heads, and all that. Yeah. Now we have talked about the 8 aspects, and we have seen the combinations also, how these combinations work together. The Octopace, the instrument that you filled, is a 40-item instrument, and it gives the profile of organization's ethos in 8 values. We already know those 8 values now: openness, collaboration, etc., etc. Now, the instrument containing 40 items, the 1 to 24 items are about the values, 8 values that your organization has, which are valued in the organization. And the respondent is required to check on a 4-point scale, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, how much each item is valued in the organization. Then part 2 contains, there are 16 statements on beliefs. So 2 each for 8 values. And then again, you are asked to check which beliefs are more important in the organization. What are the most important beliefs in the organization? So this is again 40 item. So you all have completed. Now, on the basis of what you have completed, the norms of the Octopace are, yes, next please. Actually, these norms are not based on this group. These norms are based on 500 managers from different organizations, not one organization, but from different organizations. So you can just compare your scores with these ones. So for openness, these are the 8 dimensions that we have covered. Now, if you have an average score, if you have a score of 13 to 17, it means you have an average openness. And if you have a score of less than 13, it means 12 or less than that. So you need to increase your openness. The higher the score, better it is. So we need to we need to increase all these dimensions in the organization, and every development begins from ourselves. So we need to develop trust, we need to be more authentic, we need to be proactive in order to create the organization, to develop the organization culture on these dimensions. Yeah, Siddharth, would you like to add something to that?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Friends, we've all seen the 8 dimensions. Openness, confrontation. Confrontation is to issues, not to individuals. Trust, authenticity, proaction, autonomy, collaboration, experimenting, and so on. Where is this useful, right? From a practitioner's point of view, can I go as a HR person and start building culture? True, you can. But it is most effective when your senior leadership or your CEO is himself wanting to build a culture. So that is case number 1. The other situation where you can use a culture instrument is when, let us say, something is really bad or something is really good, right? For example, you find 2 business units. You find one to be really good and you find the other one to be really, a terrible state. So one is to kind of go to the, to a business meeting and say, hey, culture is really bad there. You have to do something about it and so on. Instead, what, as an evidence-based HR professional, as a practitioner, what you can do as a professional is take up that particular questionnaire, give it to people, take the data, analyze the data, and then use these norms. The reason we are using these norms is it's fairly standardized, right? And if you look at this, if let us say the unit where culture you feel is really it needs some help, is really low on proaction, let us say it is 6 or 7, right? Then what you can actually do is have a conversation, bring everybody together in a room, take their help, tell them, okay, these are aspects of culture, and help them plan initiatives to improve proaction. For example, someone who is able to do something proactively is able to, is recognized, right? In fact, in one of the organizations I was in, we were trying to bring about culture using 3 different values. And what we did there was, it was a healthcare establishment, and what we did was, we had something called My Learnings, right? So medical staff, including nurses and so on, would actually participate in this on a weekly basis and share not only what they had done well, but also the mistakes they had done and what they learned from that. So if you see that, what happens is openness gets positively impacted. You have confrontation to issues which gets positively impacted. You have authenticity picking up, and also you have trust building. Because it is very difficult for someone, especially in the medical profession, to come up and talk about mistakes they have made. Of course, it was a kind of a trustworthy group. It was a small group there where it was done across the organization. But then these are very, very small implications, actions that you can have from rising from the survey. And that is where, visibly after, let us say 6 months, after 1 year of continuously running this, you will be able to again measure the same thing using this culture instrument. And you will find that the values that people perceive at the location has gone up. And that is typically, this is a number that you can put on culture. And this kind of a perspective, no other function can give to your CEO. Finance cannot give, marketing cannot give, operations cannot give. This is purely what I call, HR analytics, right? These are active analytics. These are not passive analytics. Probably at the end of the course, for all of you who have been participating so sincerely, I will give my book also, give it away free. You will be able to see how can you use these things and make a difference using something called active analytics. That's a term that I have coined. It is not passive. It is not like looking at attrition, right? It is about working with the human beings and making a difference. So that we'll see, of course, a little later. Let's see, is there another slide? No, there's no other slide. Wonderful. We are done with the slide business. We are now over to Shashi and ma'am. Any questions? We can take it up.
Yeah, this Octopace profile, organization culture, is available on page 525 in the book, if somebody wants to go through it.
We move on to questions, Siddharth. Can we?
So if there are no questions, I think there are only 2 possibilities of not having any question. Either nothing is understood, or either, everything is understood well.
There are questions. There are about 3 questions already. And people, please continue to have your questions shot on the chat window in private to me, and I shall have them moderated for discussion with Siddharth and Madam Surabhi.
Yeah, right? Please do not unmute yourself or come online. Please type out your questions to Shashi in private, and he will moderate.
Yeah. So as usual, one of the often asked questions which Sandhya is also asking today, what is the name of the book? Training Instruments in HRD and OD, 4th edition. Very important. Available on Kindle, available on Amazon as a hard copy as well as a Kindle version. So we have the first question from Jagat Bakshi, who is asking, the tool does not cover specifics about process adherence. Is it possible that an organization scores good in this tool but lacks strong execution or process orientation? Siddharth, would you want to take that question?
I think, yeah.
Sure. So, Shashi, if you were to summarize that question, how would you phrase that question? It's a fairly long question.
No, what he is asking is the instrument doesn't cover process adherence. So, how do I, process adherence is so essential in an organization context. So, how do I arrive at it? If I have other mechanisms to arrive at it, how do I link this one with that mechanism?
Got it. The reason I asked you to say it again, thank you for doing that, Shashi, is basically that each instrument will look at certain constructs, psychological constructs, which are to be measured. And in this, we are looking at culture-related values, right? It could be possible that in an organization, following process is very important. But the question to ask yourself is that a cultural value? Okay, let us assume it is a cultural value. Then what, there are other processes available to measure that directly, right? Now, process adherence is basically a behavior, a compliance behavior. And what you can do is simply a process audit. You don't need to go for a cultural evaluation to find out if somebody is following a process. You just use a process audit and you're done. This instrument is consists of values that Dr. Parikh, brought up called HRD values. These 8 values, if found in a sufficient measure, lead to what is called a HRD climate in an organization. And that climate is extremely good for individuals to grow, develop, and contribute to the organization's bottom line.
Got it. So we have the next question from Dharmesh Mistry, and this is, he says, this instrument provides the overall organization view from individuals. How do we compare it with individual values?
I can have a go at it and then ask, ma'am.
Oh yes, Siddharth, you could do that and maybe ask.
So there are 2 ways of looking at it, right? So what is the instrument for? One instrument cannot give you answers for everything. There is nothing called a broad spectrum antibiotic in psychometrics, right? You're supposed to use what it is meant to be used for. If you want to use individual values, a simple way, for example, if you want to use the same instrument, is you measure the individual perception of organization values, and then just give these 8 names and ask people to rank it, saying how important is each one of this, give it a rank from 1 to 8. And then compare it with whatever they have given as answers, because this is a validated instrument, right? And then you will be able to find differences. And wherever you find a difference, you will find that the stress for that individual is coming out of there. It's actually done through another instrument called work values, where different values are valued differently by people at work. But then that to correlate that with this will be difficult. Instead, what you can do is you can use this and use a very simple, ranking method and ask people, okay, this is what openness means. How important is this to you? It will give you the solution.
Ma'am, would you want to add on to Siddharth?
Yeah, if you really want to work specifically on one dimension, then we have various constructs for all the dimensions. For example, if you want to work on openness or authenticity or collaboration or any other dimension for that, a proactive behavior. So we have various instruments for all these dimensions. So you can specifically work on one instrument if you want to develop just one area. And as we said, it is a collective behavior of so many humans in the organization which makes up the organization. So start working from yourself. We need to first develop ourselves. So if you are low on any one dimension, you can separately specifically work on that instrument also. Yeah.
Thank you. This question is from Chidambaram to Surabhi ma'am, and Chidambaram is asking, leadership team should be matured enough to build and develop the organization culture, isn't it? What is your perspective?
Leadership just can you just repeat the question? Leadership?
He is stating the leadership team in the company should be matured enough to build and develop the organization culture.
Yeah.
Right? What is your perspective?
Chidambaram, I really totally agree with you, and you have brought up a very good aspect. And of course, there have been studies indicating the relationship correlation between leadership profiles and the Octapace. And it has been found that who are good leaders have a high correlation with many of these dimensions, and especially the openness and all that. So these 8 dimensions have been found to be significantly highly correlated with Octapace. I totally agree with you that one really needs to be mature enough in order to develop, all these dimensions and develop the organization culture. Yeah.
Right. Great. We have this next question coming in from Louis, and Louis is asking, once Octapace assessment is done, is there a custom-made solution or a strategy associated with it? Siddharth, would you want to go for it?
Let me take a go at it. So there are no premixes in organization development, right? At the most, there could be a few cues or a few hints, right? Or a few pointers in a few directions. But the beauty of organization development is the vulnerability with which the practitioner goes into a system and says, I don't know, let's find out, right? So of course, you will find a few of these, right? You can say that openness, okay, let's have more town halls. But then whether it will work for that context is a huge doubt, because what happens is, let us say as it is, openness is low, and then you have a town hall where, let us say, people don't want to open up and only the HR and the CEO are talking. It is not going to help in openness. It may be something deeper. It may be something deeper in terms of fear. It could be something deeper in terms of, let us say, the parent company. The parent company comes from another culture where openness is not valued. And in India, it is valued. So, you'll have to go much deeper and figure out where is this coming from? Why is it happening? Otherwise, many of these can be very easily solved through simple interventions. And one of the important things of this particular instrument is it reminds all of us that being simple does not mean it is easy. Right? It's a very important paradox in life. What is simple need not be easy. What is simple may take a lot of effort to actually go out there and do it again and again, again and again, again and again, again and again. What is easy may not be simple, but yeah, may be simple too. But this instrument is simple. But to change the culture of an organization, it has to come from the top. If it is not coming from the top, don't waste your time trying to change the culture, right? Because you're possibly going to end up making a lot of enemies all around for no reason, right? Instead of changing the organization, you can say it this way: instead of changing the organization, change your organization. Yeah.
Be the change, not the see. Right. What Vinay Falke is asking here is, do we need to add the individual scores to get the organization beliefs and values? Since the outcome of this instrument is an individual reflection towards an organization, the question is more about, do we need to take the sum total of all the individual perspectives and then look at an average and then see where the organization beliefs and values stand? Your take on that?
That's for ma'am or for me?
Ma'am, would you want to take that question? Do you want me to repeat?
Yeah, just repeat it. The individual, you were talking about the individual scores. Yeah.
Yes. So what Vinay is suggesting is that, since this is an individual score, do we need to add the individual scores to get the overall organization belief and value?
Of course, yeah, we do need to add, because for the may I know the name of the person?
This is Vinay Phalke.
Okay, Vinay. Yeah, Vinay, because see, this is all collective. How do we derive at the norms? It is only a collective behavior of people. So we no, this is how we calculate the norms and all that. We do need to add up our score because without adding up our score, how do we derive? How do we it can't be a part of the. It has to be a part of the organization culture. Your scores has to be a part of that, unless and
Right.
yeah.
So he's going a step forward. I mean, I think if I understood the question right, he also wants to know if we need to take up the average of the scores of many participants across an organization to
Yeah.
see if there is a consistency of organization beliefs and values.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll try and answer that. So what I will do is we have the scores of this whole group, right? I will just share my screen on how a typical analysis of that kind is done. Anyway, I think we are doing very well on time. So I'll just take a moment and do that, Shashi. Yeah.
Sure.
And also it will give us some, of course, none of you will be able to see your scores or your name against it. Are you able to see my Excel sheet? Are you guys able to see my Excel sheet?
Yes, very much, Siddharth.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so what we are going to do is, so this is, assume that this is an organization with around 41, 42 people or a business unit. So how do we manage, how do we understand what it is? So the first thing is to, of course, go with our famous friend called median. So go with the median formula and kind of do this. You will get a median, right? I'm basically copy pasting this. Also look at average. The difference between average and median will give you a sense of the spread of the scores, right? Let us have it in only single digit. We don't want to make our life complicated. There. So this is the median and this is the average. Another useful thing is the standard deviation. To find out how much the scores are spread across, STDV is the simpler formula which I'm going to use. And once I use this, I got some kind of result, right? And let's keep this to 1 decimal point. What is also useful is something called half standard deviation, so that you know, hey, around the average itself, what is the spread of the standard deviation, right? Here you go. Okay, so these are simpler ways of developing the norm. The way then of course you can add it here, subtract it there, and do all kinds of things. I'm not going to get into all of that, but then this gives you a fair idea. Now let us say take any one score, right? Let us take maybe this score. Oh no, I need some variation in this. Let us take this score maybe. Let's take the score. I'm just going to highlight the score. Okay. It is somebody's score in the group. I don't know who it is, so it's confidential. So if I see this, right, and let us compare it with this, and also take half standard deviation, right? Let's take this. Okay. So if I were to add this and this, roughly it gives me a score of 15, right? Yeah, 13.8, 14.8, 15. If I take this, this becomes 14. This again becomes 14. This becomes 12, let us say, and 15, and 11, and 14, and 14, right? So I'm just taking some assumed norms, right? I'm saying that this norm will talk about the high. So anything at this norm or higher than this is going to be high. So then I look at this score, right? It is 18. So it is definitely high. 16, again high. 17 high. 12, 14 high. 15, 18 high. 14, 11 high. 14, 15 high, yeah. So if you see, this organization is fairly high. Similarly, you might be able to find some organization which may be slightly lower also, right? Let's take this. So 10 is somewhere close to median, close to average. Average minus 13 is going to give you 10. So maybe it is low. 7 and 12, 12 with, no, this is actually median. This 12, 7, 7 and 2, 7, 12, 10, 10, 10 and 7 is low. 2, 12 minus 2, 10, 10 and 9 is low. So you will find some, variation here. So, okay, so what does it tell you? It says that this particular response with respect to the organization is what it talks about. But a more effective way for doing culture is don't look at individual scores. This is not individual psychometric analysis you're doing, right? Instead, you focus on the group. You take these ones. You take that of the organization itself. Take the average, or average is good. Median is a better thing if you ask me. But yeah, if you find that to be a little challenging, you can use average also. So take the average and then compare it with the slide that we were talking about. Let us look at that slide. Yeah, these norms, right? So let us look at each of these numbers. So 13. So 13 to 17, openness, yeah, it is average. Take 12, 12, 10, okay. So 12 average, 10 is average again. 13, 10, 13. So 13 is average. 13 is again average. What was it? 10, 10, sorry. 10, 10, 10 becomes a low, and then average again. And 12, which is average. So the way to map it is to look at these norms and look at the entire organization norms. This is not as much as a psychometric for individuals as it is a collective one. You just average it out or find a median. You might find some minor variations. Depending on the variation, you take a informed call at that point in time, right? So I will just save this because anyway I have to send that to Surabhi ma'am, and that's about it. Shashi, anything else?
Yes, Siddharth, we have questions flowing in as well, and in fact, Mr. Vedantan was also kind of seeking if a hypothetical score could be interpreted for the benefit of participants. I think you just kind of explained a bit of that. Averil has a question. Since Octopace is the individual's perspective of the organization culture, how can one increase the scores to create a better impact? Ma'am,
Everly, actually you have to look into the scores where you are low on, suppose on 8 dimensions. What is this? Let me ask you, what on which dimension do you have a low score? Can you tell me?
On authenticity.
So now this is actually doing what you actually preach, what you believe in. If you say that people have to be punctual, or if you say that if you say something that I just like the truth, I don't want people to pose truth and they are something else from within. Now whatever you say, you have to do that. Do what you say and say what you do. There should not be dissonance. There should not be discrepancy between what you feel, what you say, and what you do. So now if you feel, for example, look at the items on authenticity. Now this book is going to tell you about the items which are specifically for authenticity. Now, where you have scored on low on the authenticity items. If you have a score of 0 or 1, then try to increase that score. In that way, you can really increase your authenticity. It would not be much difficult to bring your score from 2 to 3, but you just have to go through all those scores and look carefully at them and see how you can really increase if you're doing something, if you feel that something is done very rarely, how you can do it a little more just to increase the authenticity of the, and this is going to increase your authenticity and therefore the authenticity in the organization culture. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. There's a slight different version of probably the same question that we kind of asked and addressed. Manohara KB is asking, is it like, should we conduct this in different departments and then kind of average the responses in each area and see if we need to, pick out areas of development for the company from there?
Yeah, so analysis is a huge field. You can do whatever you want in it as long as you know what you're doing, why you're chasing it. And what you're really saying is exploratory analysis. You don't know what might be there, so you're exploring, right? Go ahead.
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah, sure.
Great. We have this question from Sonal Parikh, and Sonal wants to acknowledge ma'am explaining this beautifully, and the fact that she explained openness and confrontation going together, trust and authenticity going together, and so on for others. What does it mean? Since the scores of O and C is average and low respectively, and it is low and average for trust and authenticity as well, how do we analyze this?
Yeah, scores on O, N. What are the low scores?
P is average and A is low.
There was the internet was unstable. Can you just repeat?
I will repeat, ma'am. Openness and trust were average. Confrontation and authenticity were low.
Okay.
So since you said some of these go together, how do we analyze this?
Actually you can have any kind of scores. It doesn't mean that if you have a high openness, you are going to have high authenticity or something like that. But we have just tried to analyze, and we have surveyed in so many organizations, if there is a combination of these pairs like openness and confrontation, the teams work well. There is a good development of the organization culture. But if you have low, I think Sonal has a high score on openness and confrontation, right? Right, Sonal? Yeah, she has a high score on openness and confrontation. So,
sorry, I have a high score on openness, but I have a low score on confrontation. Similarly, yeah. I have a high score on trust, but low score on authenticity. So when it goes together, if it is high and there's a difference between the two, how do I decipher it? This is what I meant.
Actually, it is not necessary, Sonal, that if you have a high score on openness, you will have a high score on confrontation. It doesn't mean that. But see, now you are high on openness. You give freedom to everyone, and everyone can come and discuss their problems with you. That way you are very open. But as we talk about the issues, the problems in the organization and many other problems that we usually have, sometimes, I'm not saying always, sometimes you may find it difficult to handle the situations, the issues. So in those cases, you may have a tendency either to withdraw from the situation because you are not able to resolve the problem, and people are not ready to discuss the problem at all with you. So you are not getting the people to discuss the problem also. So there is no resolvement of the problem. So in those cases, you may either withdraw from the situation, or you just feel, Arey jaane do, let me not get into the problem because nobody is listening to me. So openness and confrontation, you may be high on one aspect, you may be low on other. It is not necessary that you may be, if you're high on openness, you are high on confrontation also, or if you're high on confrontation, you are high on openness. But definitely, there is one thing that in order to make the culture congenial, organization culture congenial, if there is a combination of these parameters, high parameters, then definitely you are going to, create and develop a good organization culture sooner.
On that note, madam, can it be assumed that any score below 12 means it is low?
Yeah, it is low. Now, let me tell you, there's one more thing. Now, these norms, as I said, are totally based on the previous data that we have collected from different managers, 500 managers from different organizations. We do not have the norms of this group. Probably we can depict it next time on some slide. And we can collect data from here. We can have the means and standard deviation. Then, as already Siddharth has put it on the slide right away. Now you can compare your scores with those ones. They can I have that slide, please? Just the
Yeah, Siddharth is setting it up. Yeah.
Excel sheet. Yeah, Excel sheet. Yeah. Now, see, I was mentioning the norms which I had from the previous groups. Now, these are the norms from this group, data of, let's say, 42, 43 persons. Now, as Siddharth has already explained, you can compare your scores with these ones. Like means are the averages, 13, 12, 12, 10, 13. 13 is for openness. Then we have for confrontation, trust, authenticity. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get the norms ready for the group because the group is quite
Yeah.
about the norms.
Yeah. Now everyone can compare their own scores with these norms, which Siddharth has taken no time to put up. Yeah, here are your scores. Now you can compare your scores with the ones on the, average scores, 13, 12, 12, on the 45th row.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can ignore the decimals. Yeah. Now here we have a small data, the group is not so big. So the larger the data we have, more authentic is the, the data results.
Okay, super. So what we will do is for now, we will kind of wrap up this session. You can, reach out to any one of us if you have further doubts. We'll be happy to share with you. Don't forget to spread the word around on GearUp. My background shows a few of the things that we do, including incubating young talent, innovating new HR practices, and so on. And we are also of late getting into exclusive executive coaching of HR professionals, because we believe HR professionals can definitely start benefiting from individual coaching, and most of these coaches are ICF accredited and so on. So that's a quick point before I thank ma'am and hand over to Shashi. Shashi?
Well, we come to the close of session, and we'll probably have to look forward to the next one. We already have somebody asking about certifications. We will come to that. And friends, the next document as usual will be made available on Thursday, and look forward to your participation. In case your friends are part of this WhatsApp group and they have not taken up these instruments, you may encourage them to do so. We would be happy to reach this initiative, our efforts and intentions across to a wider audience. So thank you very much, Madam Dr. Surabhi and Siddharth, and all the lovely participants that make a great Saturdays. You guys have made meaning to our Saturdays. We keep looking forward to Saturdays as much as you do, though it means it's a compromise on the extended sleep that we would want to have. But what's more satisfying than seeing our own fraternity and seeing all of us learn and grow together? Thank you very much. Have another week of staying safe, staying spirited, and happy learning. See you. Bye bye.